Welcome to the MousekaBros podcast. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm his brother Randy. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram at the MousekaBros. We'll be releasing new episodes every Friday, so make sure you subscribe to get the latest podcast. If you have any suggestions for upcoming shows or just want to say hi, you can email us at mousekabrospodcast@gmail.com.
If you're planning your next Disney destination or Universal Orlando vacation, you're going to want to reach out to me, Ryan Noppinger, with Capture the Magic Vacations. You can reach me at ryan.noppinger at ctmvagent.com. This is a no-cost-to-you service to use me as your travel agent. I'll make sure you get the best vacation package or deal for your whole family. I can also help make dining reservations and plan FastPasses to make planning your Disney vacation less stressful and more magical.
On today's episode, we are talking all about FastPass Plus. What is it? How do you use it? And what are those magical Mickey bands? Plus, our overall thoughts. But as always, Ryan, Mr. Line Cutter Noppinger, how are you doing?
I am doing wonderful, even though I am not a line cutter. I think line cutters say that, don't they? I'm not a line cutter. Anyway,
that's something a line cutter would say.
Well, we'll just move on then on that.
Right.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited because this is our first MousekaBasics episode.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have some more. Maybe get some ideas from, the listeners, from you guys. If anybody wants us to kind of just break down, talk about something that, is common knowledge for like Ryan and I. We throw this term around, like we always talk about fast passes. So we understand what we're talking about, but I don't think we've ever like really discussed what a fast pass
broken
is.
It down.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what this episode's going to be, kind of help kind of define some stuff. And then at the end, we'll kind of move into like opinionated questions, kind of talk about our overall thoughts about each park and their fast pass system. But I guess really just to start this whole conversation off, what is FastPass Plus?
That's a very good question. So to start it off, FastPass Plus is a reservation system that allows you to book advance reservations for experiences and attractions in the park. Guests staying at Walt Disney World Resort hotels can make FastPass Plus reservations up to 60 days in advance of check-in for their entire length of stay, which is a pretty nice benefit. Guests staying off-site can make reservations up to 30 days in advance for each day of their theme park visit. You might remember the old FastPass system, and if you've visited in the past, that is long gone in the history. Now you book your FastPass Plus selections on the My Disney Experience app or website, and selections are tied to your tickets and or magic bands. But then you're probably wondering, you get all of this, how much is it going to cost me, right? So is FastPass Plus free, Randy?
Absolutely, 100%. It is free. Well, it's free in the sense that you don't have to pay extra for it. You still have to buy a ticket into Disney. So, but other than that, yes, it is free for everyone visiting the park who has a valid admission. This is different from other parks, such as Universal. They have the Express Pass, Six Flags, the Flash Pass, and even Disneyland has the Max Pass. All of those you have to pay for. So for Disney World, this is 100% free. You get the FastPass Plus, like we've defined it now, but like how do you use it, Ryan? What kind of does it come with? What does it come on?
So you're probably wondering about magic bands that I mentioned earlier. So what is a magic band? It's basically a rubber bracelet that is embedded with an RFID chip, which is a radio frequency identification kind of chip, and it functions similar to the regular RFID park ticket. So actually the card itself that you would get if you didn't get a magic band also has this chip in it also. So both offer touch and go functionality at the park entrance, and FastPass attraction queues, and also with PhotoPass photographers. The bracelets, of course, are more practical since you don't have to, fumble around in your pocket or backpack for your tickets every time you enter the park to use your FastPass, which is, again, a nice addition to have the Magic Band. But, we'll talk a little bit about that later. But the Magic Band also offers additional or kind of optional functionality if you're at a resort, a Disney resort. So it can act as your room key, or you can also link your credit card with the band and touch to pay with a PIN that you set up kind of, while you're going through the whole of your booking vacation, which is really, really a nice added benefit that you can just swipe it and you don't even have to get out your credit card. How convenient, Disney.
Thank you. Super convenient. They thought of absolutely everything.
It is to note, though, that non-resort guests who purchase a Magic Band cannot add their credit card functionality to their bands. So basically because they don't have any way to bill you kind of after that. Normally, and what it's been used or kind of referred to in the past is like a room charge. It's the same type of thing. You're just putting it on your band that's associated with your room so they can add it onto your room checkout. Additional functionality in the parks also includes attractions, on-ride photo. There's actually kind of three different ways that you can get these. Some actually just show up on your My Disney Experience account, such as Seven Doors Mine Train. Other attractions, such as Splash Mountain, you'll actually need to touch the Magic Band to the RFID reader at the ride's exit photo area to associate your photos with your account. Also, Disney offers personalization in queues on rides for those wearing the bands. For example, at Expedition Everest, you might see your name on one of the Himalayan advertisements right before you get on the ride. This can also be seen at It's a Small World and Rock and Roller Coaster, again, which is just a really, really cool added benefit of having these Magic Bands. But I guess now you're asking, do I actually need a Magic Band?
And the answer to that question is no. Physical tickets offer the same functionality as a Magic Bands. But as Ryan has stated, Magic Bands are just more convenient for entering the park using FastPass and also PhotoPass. And also, if you're staying on property, having a credit card linked to the band. So, this Magic Band kind of just becomes your all-in-one ticket almost when you're inside the park. Of course, if you're staying on property. So, and plus you can buy different ones that have different characters, different colors. So it is very, very personalized. But you're probably asking yourself now, well, if I want one and I want one that's personalized, well, how do I get a Magic Band?
And that's another good question. So Walt Disney World Resort hotels, all members of your party get Magic Bands free of charge if you're staying at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel. Depending on how far in advance you book, you'll have the option to choose your color and then having your bands shipped to you. And then this isn't actually available in all of the countries, so it's just kind of subject to whatever country you live in. Your Magic Band serves, again, as your room key and can be used to make purchases at the resort during your hotel stay. And this is a good note, too, before I read it, if you're using the Disney's Magical Express transportation, you'll also need them for check-in, so you shouldn't put them in your checked baggage if you're flying to Orlando, which is, again, kind of also a good reminder for me also, because me and my wife are going on a trip here just in a week or so at the beginning of October, and we're flying, and we're using the Disney's Magical Express, so it's a good thing to remember to pack our Magic Bands in our carry-on luggage. And then if you're not staying at a resort, of course, you can still purchase a Magic Band, and they just the plain colored ones start at $14.99 plus tax. You can get those in the park or online at shopdisney.com. There's also kind of the other ones that have like the characters and stuff like that on them. They start, I believe it's $24.99. And then they also have ones that are kind of limited edition that start at $29.99. But the cool thing to note about kind of the limited edition ones for myself included, they actually, depending on what park or what attraction you might get. For example, mine was for the 30th anniversary of Epcot. No, sorry, 35th. Oh my gosh, now I can't even remember.
I couldn't tell you.
I know.
It was some anniversary
For
that
the
happened.
anniversary of Epcot, right? And anytime now I scan it in Epcot, it does reflections of Earth. That kind of iconic, thing from Illuminations that Rip is going away here in a few days.
I missed it. How does it go?
Reflections of Earth. That probably sounds really annoying on people's ears, so I apologize, but, that's what it does.
Fine.
And, watching that fireworks show, I'm getting off on a rant here.
Yeah,
but
okay. Let's bring it back down. We're talking
bringing
about
it back to FastPasses and Magic Band. I'm sorry, I'm just sad that Illuminations is going away here in a few days. So you know how to get a Magic Band now, but now I guess the question is now, how far in advance can I make these FastPass Plus reservations?
Well, you actually have 2 windows of opportunity. So if you're staying at a Disney resort, you get that 60 days out before your check-in date, and then you can book the entire length of your stay. For the if you're not staying at a resort, you have a 30-day booking window. And you must have a ticket that is linked to your account to make a FastPass. So you can't just make FastPasses to make FastPasses. You actually have to buy a ticket to do that. If you're when you're kind of planning, you can only reserve 3 FastPass attractions per day in advance. But it's interesting to note, and I don't know if everybody knows this. After you use your first 3 for the day, you can actually get more. There's kiosk or even through the phone that we'll talk about that you can make more FastPasses. So when you're making your FastPasses, you probably want to do them earlier in the day, maybe before lunch, or like 2 before lunch and 1 right after lunch or something, so you can get them right out of the way. So then you can get more FastPasses. If you were to get a FastPass for a fireworks show and that was one of your 3, well, you couldn't get another FastPass until all 3 of your FastPasses are used, which means you can't get any until after the fireworks. But of course, after the fireworks, most of the parks normally close at that time. So you definitely don't want to use a FastPass for, the fireworks. Of course, unless that is something that you want to do, right? If that's something that you absolutely want to do, hands down, then I say go for it. But if you're kind of on the edge, don't do it, and possibly get one later in the day. Take your chances. Or even if you don't get the FastPass, then you get 4 FastPasses for a ride, later in the day, of course. When you actually book your FastPass, and you can do that starting at 7 a.m. from the 60 days out of your first check-in, if you are staying on property. As soon as 7 a.m. hits 60 days out, you can book basically the entire length of your stay, up to 14 days, of course, with a valid park admission. Unfortunately, this option is not available for the 30-day window or for the non-resort guest. So if you're not staying on a resort, you have to book your FastPasses every single day starting at 7 a.m.
Right, which is, again, tiring.
Yeah, right. I mean, it depends on the trip. If you're only going for 5 days, well, then you're only doing that for 5 days. But if you're going for 14 days, then you have to wake up before 7 a.m. to book all of your stuff, plus do everything else you would normally do. Get in a shower, make breakfast, get ready for work. I mean, not on the weekends, but still, you still have that commitment that you need to wake up earlier to make these FastPasses, because you definitely want to make your FastPasses as soon as possible. Now that we know the time frame of, or kind of how far in advance you can book the FastPasses, how do you actually book them?
So first, of course, have your tickets. It's always good to have your tickets, and then you would create an account on the My Disney Experience website. You can do that on the app or through the website. It's a little bit easier if you're making an account first off to do it through the website, and then actually planning FastPasses. It's a little bit easier to use it on the app. But after you have your tickets, then you create your account, and then it's really, really important that you link your tickets to your account and then assign them to kind of the people in your account, right? So if it's Randy and I going, we would buy, let's say, a 5-day park hopper ticket. Then I would go into my Disney Experience account and assign a 5-day park hopper ticket to me and one to Randy. So then when our reservation comes, then we are then able to make fast passes. For reservations actually for friends and family, which again is another good note here, that if I want to make a fast pass for Randy, I will actually, and let's say Randy doesn't have an account yet, I would actually need to add their name and or send them an email invitation to connect them through a Disney account. So that then everyone must have a valid ticket linked. Everyone then has a kind of My Disney Experience account with that. You can also just add their name. So if it's a child that you're with that necessarily they don't have an email address to them, you can just add their name. And as long as then it's linked to their name and then their Magic Band, it's, all fine and dandy there. But yeah, so then once online, you can then book your 3 daily reservations at one time. You'll also get to see all of the available time slots within the morning, afternoon, or evening. It's not just you assign it and that's it. You get what you're picked. You actually get to pick what time slot you'd like to pick. You can also book separate reservations for party members. For example, Randy doesn't want to go and meet Anna and Elsa with me. That's fine. He can actually then just set up another time to do an attraction. So if I'm meeting Anna and Elsa from 9 to 10, let's say, then he can go and do...
Meet and Ariel,
sure, from 9 to 10, rather than doing what I'm doing. But then our itinerary still matches up. So I know we've said it before, but just to reiterate, Randy, how many reservations can I make?
Well, you can make 3 reservations in advance for rides and experiences per day. It's important to note that your 3 reservations have to be used in one park only. So that's just the 3. Once you use those 3, you can make another reservation, but that can be for a different park. But when you make your 3, they got to be for one park only. And this makes it a little, not challenging, I don't want to say the word challenging, but interesting because parks like Epcot, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom, well, they kind of run on a tier structure. So there's normally about 2 tier structures, and in the first tier, you can only choose one FastPass, and that could be composed of different rides and attractions, probably the more popular stuff. And then in tier 2, you can actually pick 2 of them. This is going to be the less popular rides, kind of like the not big E attraction rides, the e-ticket rides. And Magic Kingdom is the only park that is different because this is the only park that actually does not have a tier system. So we've made all of our fast passes, we've got our Magic Bands, we're ready to go, we've got our tickets, and we're walking into the park. Well, how do you actually use your fast pass in the park?
So first, of course, you make your reservations and then you say, I have Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at 9 a.m. Well, first then you would head to the attraction or entertainment experience during your allotted time. And then you would look for the FastPass queue at the attraction. Usually it's where the regular kind of entrance would be for the attraction. Then next you'll touch your ticket or Magic Band to the Mickey RFID reader for entry. And it's to note that you may be actually asked to scan your Magic Band or ticket a second time as you move further into the queue, which is kind of to note, some attractions do this, some don't. Some have the option that then they turn off if it's busier. It's kind of 50-50 on whether they'll do it or not. And it's just to ensure basically that no one else can hop in line to then, just think they can hop in line and not have to scan later, as entry into the ride.
Right. It's keeping order in the whole system of the FastPass system.
Yeah. So, that pretty much sums up fast passes. And then, kind of with fast passes, and we talk about Magic Bands and what are those things. But now it's kind of like, we'll just talk about it all, 60 versus 30 day, the benefits of that, cost and everything like that. So I guess to start it off, with the cost, it is free, but I guess, should it be free do you think Disney will charge for it in the future? What do you think?
Okay, so you just asked two questions there. So the first question is yes, I think it should be free. I've been to the other parks and I've never gotten the paid fast passes in the other park. I know they're not called fast passes, but I'm just going to refer to them fast passes for like Universal and all of that. Those are paid, and I personally have never done them. I've never felt the need to do it. I don't want to spend that extra money to kind of skip the lines.
Yeah, I think, and again, Disney has done it for so long, kind of the free Fast Pass. When Fast Pass first came out, of course they were like, no, this is for everyone. Everybody should be able to, to have this perk and this benefit. So we're just going to offer it free, especially when other theme parks, even around our area, started to charge. And some examples of that, of course, is Universal, the Express Pass, Six Flags, Flash Pass, Hershey Park, close to near us, is called Fast Track, and then Disneyland, which I guess is kind of another topic. But so Fast Passes there are free. And it's kind of similar to kind of the paper, but you don't use the paper. It just is kind of a marker on your ticket for the time that's on the paper Fast Pass. It's kind of confusing, but They do have an option where you can do $15 per person per day, and you can use, it's called Max Pass, and you can book the Fast Pass reservations kind of like you're similar to Fast Pass Plus, but you can only do one. And again, it's kind of using the paper Fast Pass system mixed with kind of the app there for that experience, which is interesting that then Disney World doesn't do that, even though we know that Disney World and Disneyland do things completely differently.
Right. I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Disneyland kind of comes up with this Max Pass that, you can kind of choose if you want to spend more money on it, you can, but also at the same time, like you don't have to. That you get your 3, but if you want to spend more money to get an extra one, then you can do that. I think that's something that Disney World may integrate, or, I don't think they should. If they do, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be like a shocker to me. I don't think that's going to necessarily change my experience with Fast Passes at the park. I may disagree with it, but I think overall it's not going to affect things that much.
I believe it's Tokyo, I believe. So you can actually buy a kind of a themed package Fast Pass. So like, let's say if we use that kind of same analogy for Magic Kingdom, let's say you wanted to do the Mountain Fast Pass package, right? It would give you a Fast Pass for Big Thunder, Splash, and Space Mountain. And maybe even, at that point, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, right? So it still gives you a Fast Pass, but then you're paying for it maybe if you weren't able to get it, 60 or the 30 days out even for some of the popular attractions.
I could see that, but overall, I think it should just be free because I've been, over this past summer, me and my fiance Katie, we went to Busch Gardens, and there, we don't have the name of it, but they have their Fast Pass system that is, paid for. You pay for, I don't know, it's probably like $120, where you get to ride you get to like skip the line for every single ride one time, and like it just made it was summer, so it was busy, so it made our 45-minute wait more like a 60-minute wait because, Busch Gardens doesn't assign people to a row, so that makes everything kind of slow down when you got to count all the people and then you miscount and one person's like, oh, I need somebody in front of me. Okay. Anyway, that's a rant. But, you would wait in line, get to basically where you would enter the ride, and then people would come from the exit and fill up your entire row. So then you would had to wait for another one. And this happened on the Griffin that sits 10 people across. And we were waiting on the front row, but everyone had a Fast Pass, one at the front row. So, they were only letting like 4 people on from our line. So instead of, having to wait 3 rides, we had to wait like 6 rides just because not enough people were going on. And then that made it very frustrating for us because, we waited our 45 minutes, but we still kept kind of pushing aside. So having it be free and offering it to everybody puts everybody on the same level, right? You get 3. So if I pick my 3, Ryan, and you pick your 3, and they're different ones, that doesn't mean that we get a different experience because we just chose different rides. So if you wanted to wait for mine, but I had a FastPass, like I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. Like I had it, but then I lost it. But like it just, to me, it should be free because then everybody gets a choice of what they can do. Everybody's on the same level. Nobody is better than anybody, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And, looking at the other theme parks, and I guess Disney has just spoiled us in that regard as far as we go to, let's say we go up to Hershey Park for the day, and there it starts at $39. We look at that price and we're like, oh my gosh, I have to spend $39. You have to spend $39, and it only gets us on the attraction once, and that's it. But then we're spoiled with Disney and we're like, oh my gosh, $39 is way too high. But, maybe if Disney World started where they were like $20, would maybe we be more, kind of open to, oh, well, $39 and, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. And, I think it's kind of like you pay for what you get. Like you're paying $20 to Disney and getting a FastPass for, you're not getting it for a roller coaster that goes up, down, upside down, and then back in the station. You're getting it to ride an attraction that even if it is, a roller coaster, it's just so immersive that it's almost worth the $20. But, with Hershey Park, it doesn't feel worth it just because, there's 7 attractions and you get to do them once. And then after that, you'd have to...
That's it.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy it again. Or they do have pretty much all the theme parks, other than Disney, have kind of a level. It might be $39 at Hershey Park for, one attraction one time and that's it, versus, maybe $49 and it's unlimited. So, there's different tiers at the theme parks.
And at Hershey Park, I get that after you ride all your rides, you have to wait in lines, but also the lines just feel longer
after
than
you've
Disney.
Waited.
Right, because you've done all the rides, now you're waiting in the sun, and all the lines are the exact same thing, where they just zigzag back and forth for an hour. Like at least at Disney, your lines may zigzag, but it doesn't feel like they zigzag because you're constantly looking at something new. Kind of, it's immersing you in everything. As soon as you enter the queue, you're in an immersive attraction.
Right. Talking about cost and kind of the whole 30, 60-day window, back in 2018, they started a pilot program, which I do believe is still ongoing. If you book a resort that has a club level and you book a club level room, you can actually book 3 more FastPasses for $50 per guest per day. And then you get to book 90 days in advance, which is, again, crazy. Now, to say that, the club level are, other than Coronado, because that just opened, which they do have now a club level at their new tower, but it's only at the deluxe resorts, right? So let's say now you're at a deluxe resort and then you're doing club level. That, at the minimum, you're probably looking at around $700 a night.
Yeah.
So, I guess in that same kind of sentence, if you're booking a room for $700 a night, you're probably really not worried, $50 per guest per day, that's fine.
Right. I mean, just to kind of give you an idea, like let's say you go for a week, which is 7 days, which seems like a reasonable kind of, average vacation per person. That's $4,900 just per person for the 700 a night.
Right. Well, that's just for the room.
Right. That's just for the room. I'm just giving you.
Right.
But you're probably not going by yourself to Disney.
Right.
I mean, you could and have a great time, but you're probably not going by yourself to Disney. So that's just one person. So, if you, let's say, 2 adults and 2 children, so that's 4 people, right? So that 4,000 already becomes 19,000. So, you're really not looking at that at much, because you're doing, if you did the $50 a day, that's an additional $300. So I'm just adding to your point that saying it's really not that much.
Right. Yeah.
If you stay at a club level.
Yeah. But, again, then you get to book all of your FastPasses 90 days in advance, which again just secures you that you're getting all of the top tier 1 attractions, which is kind of interesting. Talking about kind of the whole, again, still going for the whole 60-30 day kind of out. There's a lot of planning to do kind of ahead of time, and you probably look at, the fast passes that you can select for the 4 parks, and you just get completely overwhelmed. Even for small trips, I get overwhelmed, even thinking, oh, well, what attraction should I pick from this time from tier 1? Or I got to be up at 7 a.m. I got to be up at 6:30 so I can turn on my laptop, have a cup of coffee, and, get ready for your 7 a.m. time.
You don't have to have a cup of coffee.
No, you must have a cup of coffee.
That early in the morning, you have to have coffee.
Yes. You're like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I pick? But, a lot goes into that. And then, do you have dining reservations that then you have to plan around because you've already booked your dining reservations 180 days, out. And then if you do dining reservations, that pretty much secures possibly what park you're going to have your fast passes in unless you have park hoppers. And what I mean by that is, let's say I make a dining reservation in Magic Kingdom 180 days out, and then it comes time for me to book my fast passes and I don't have park hopper. Well, then I would have to book my fast passes for Magic Kingdom. Rather, if I did have a park hopper ticket and I had a dining reservation at Magic Kingdom, I could do Epcot in the morning, pick my 3 fast passes, and then end up at Magic Kingdom, that evening for my reservation. And after I'm done my first 3 reservations at Epcot, I can then book more reservations at Magic Kingdom or any of the other parks at that time, which again, a lot of variables in that.
Yeah. I mean, to put it simply, how I've always thought about it is that you should pick your fast passes based on your dining reservations, because like you said, you're making your dining reservations 180 days out. So you're picking your restaurants first. Whether you have park hoppers or not, just pick your fast passes for which park you have dining reservations. We are all going with the park hopper option in January, but we still picked our fast passes for the park that we have dining reservations because, in the past we've run into a situation where, well, we have a dining reservation for lunch at 1, but from 12 to 1, we also have a fast pass for, somewhere in Epcot. Well, we want to do it all. So we go to the fast pass exactly at noon, but we're not the only ones. And a lot of people, have that time frame. So then we still have to kind of wait in a line. And now we're rushing over to dining reservations and it's super stressful. We're all stressed and it just puts, stress on the trip. That shouldn't be stressful. So if you make your fast passes with your dining reservations, and then, if you get park hoppers, then you can go to another park after your fast passes are done. You can always do that, but just to make it simple, I would just say pick your fast passes with your dining reservations.
Yeah, it'll make things a lot easier on you, so you're not having to jump park to park to park, especially if it's your first time or you're not as seasoned. It just makes it kind of convenient that, oh, I'm already at Epcot, I might as well make my right. I already have a dining reservation at Epcot, I might as well just make my fast passes there and just plan a whole day at Epcot.
Absolutely.
So going back to the benefit of it, again, we're kind of beating it down here, but the 60-day again versus 30-day, a huge benefit of staying on, a Disney resort is you getting the 60-day out versus the 30-day. Again, if you stay at a Disney World Resort hotel, which again, you get the book 60-day out in advance, then you have the pretty good odds of getting some of the tier 1 choices from the parks, and that would be Epcot, Animal Kingdom, and Hollywood Studios. So kind of to transition over to the tiers, we'll talk about Epcot first. So in tier 1, you have Frozen Ever After, Illuminations Fireworks, which will change, Soarin', Test Track, and Meet Disney Pals at Character Spot, which I think actually is not there right now.
Yeah, I don't think
Epcot's going through Epcot.
Yeah, Epcot is going through a bunch of changes, so this whole list is changing
a little off. Yeah,
and changing on a daily basis. Right, it feels like
basically, yeah,
just with rides closing and rides opening. So we're going off the current list that Disney has currently.
Yeah, so then basically everything else in Epcot is Tier 2. And to name a few, Journey into Imagination with Figment, Spaceship Earth, and The Seas with Nemo and Friends. And kind of, there's others as well. What do you think about Tier 1 at Epcot?
I mean, I think it is a good tier. I don't know if I would necessarily put fireworks kind of in the Tier 1, just because I feel like yes, they are good, but anybody can see it without without a fast pass. Like, yeah, anybody can ride a ride without a fast pass. But the way the fireworks are shot off is that you can literally be anywhere in Epcot. So I feel like the fast passes aren't as important because it's not like this is the only place you can see fireworks. Right. So I think like that should be in Tier 2 personally.
And, on your point, as a hot tip for everyone, maybe not book shows as a fast pass, with the exception of Hollywood Studios, because that's all they have basically in their Tier 2, which we'll go over in a second. But, other than Hollywood Studios, normally don't pick shows. And the reason I say that is because shows like, for example, in Epcot, no, sorry, not for Epcot, just shows in general, they hold a lot of people in them.
Festival of the Lion King has a new stadium, stage that sits a lot of people. So you don't necessarily need a fast pass because you can go and see the show. To a counterpoint, though, you may not be sitting in the first couple rows. You may be sitting far back because the people with fast pass would get in first. However, you can still see the show.
Right. Where I was going with Epcot before I lost my train of thought was the Disney Pixar Short Film Festival is one that you will never need a fast pass for. I don't even know if they know how to work the fast pass thing there, because there's no one ever there at the show. And
it just constantly runs. It's on a constant loop. So
exactly.
So as soon as one show ends, another begins. So it's not like there's ever, a 40-minute wait. Or it's not like you'll ever have to wait and sit through a show.
Right. And there's pretty much one of these for every park. I feel like every park has one of those attractions that, no, you don't need a fast pass for. They should probably just take it out.
Well, let's just go through each park. Name maybe, I guess, one that you don't agree with, you wouldn't use a fast pass for. But let's actually go through the tiers. So starting with Epcot, Tier 1, you get to pick one. So Ryan, what would be your fast pass for Epcot?
To pick from?
Yeah, in Tier 1.
I don't know. For me, I'd be torn between Soarin' and Test Track. If I had to say right off the bat, it'd be Soarin'.
Okay. Right off the bat for me, I'm going to say, I know I just... is Frozen Ever After.
Okay.
Just because it's a ride that I don't want to wait for, but I want to do. And it's going to be a long wait.
Yeah.
So that would be mine.
How about your Tier 2?
Tier 2, you really don't need it, but it's personally one of my favorites. But I'm going to go Journey into Imagination with Figment. That line can get like 20 minutes sometimes. It's not really worth a 20-minute wait. So I would use it. And probably Mission Space. I'd say Spaceship Earth, but, that's just an omni mover, so the line keeps moving. I know it gets long, but you're constantly moving, so you don't necessarily need a fast pass. So that would probably be mine, too. It would be Mission Space and Figment.
Okay. My two, I'd have to go... My wife's going to laugh at me. I would go Living with the Land.
Shocker.
Again, it's honestly a hit or miss whether it's busy or not.
Yeah, it could be a 5-minute wait or a 55-minute wait.
Yeah, it's really strange, with kind of the wait times. I guess it's whoever's getting off Soarin' at that time, and it's a 5-minute wait, and then it turns into a 55-minute wait. Yeah. So that would be one of them, Living with the Land. And my second one, again, I don't really think you need it sometimes, but it'd be The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Just because, again, it's an omni mover, but I really, really like it. And to that point, kind of all of the omni movers in Epcot, talking to Spaceship Earth and, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, and kind of pretty much Journey into Imagination, even though it's not an omni mover. If you actually go towards the evening, when other guests are out of the countries, these aren't that long of a wait, especially Spaceship Earth, because it's the first attraction that you pass by. So everyone figures, I might as well wait for it. Versus if you come back maybe at 3 o'clock, there's, it's a 15 minute wait and it's continually moving.
Right. It's not that, if you want to do it as the first thing, it's not that we're saying, no, you're wrong. It's just that, you only have so many hours in a day, and you want to get the most out of your hours when you're in a Disney park, because there's just so much to do, so much to see.
Right. Yeah.
Insert all-star lyrics here. That's why I paused, because I was starting to think of them. Anyways, is there anything that you would, I said fireworks. Is there anything that you would disagree for like tier 1 or even tier 2? Is there something that should be in tier 1 that you think?
I mean, not at least for Epcot. I kind of wish Epcot kind of did the whole Magic Kingdom model where there were no tiers. I could see this drastically changing, especially the changes coming to Epcot with, the Ratatouille attraction.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
A lot of changes coming. I could definitely see these tiers kind of mixed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
Moving on to Animal Kingdom, in Tier 1, you have Avatar Flight of Passage and Na'vi River Journey. And then in Tier 2, you pretty much have everything.
The entire rest of the park.
Everything else. And to name a few, it would be Dinosaur, Expedition Everest, and the Kilimanjaro Safaris. So out of these, Ram, what would be your day? What would be your one from Tier 1? And we can both just agree on what the Tier 1 would be, and that would be Avatar Flight of Passage. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, while, the Na'vi River Journey, if you go twice and, you go with somebody who's never been, which is, kind of what we're doing, I would say do Na'vi River Journey, because it's still kind of new. Avatar still has that hype. So it's going to be a long wait, and, Na'vi River Journey is not worth the wait, and it's not worth the FastPass, but I would just bite the bullet and just take the FastPass, because with Flight of Passage and, other rides, but we're just talking about these two for right now. Flight of Passage, the FastPass line is so short, and when you wait in the regular line, you get to see more. There's more to do, more to look at. So I would just say that, but yeah, absolutely Flight of Passage.
If you're picking a Tier 1, because, you should, especially if Flight of Passage isn't there and Na'vi River Journey is, you should absolutely just grab it. It is a good attraction if you've not done it, especially a ton of times if you haven't done it. But, to Tier 1, you get to choose one of them. You might as well choose Na'vi River Journey. As a hop tip, if you don't get Avatar Flight of Passage, a lot of other tips out there say, go right when park opens, go, get to Animal Kingdom 2.5 hours before the park opens. You not necessarily don't need to do that. Actually, if you wait kind of towards the close of park, if you can hold out that long, if you go towards, let's say the park is open until 9. If you go at 8:55, you can still go through the line and on the attraction. They won't turn you away. And even though the sign might say, I don't
120
know,
something.
Yeah, or 90 minutes, 120 minutes, not proven, but, we've tested a handful of times and it's well been, only an hour.
Yeah, like I think one time it said 145 minutes and we have never done it. And it was, like you said, 8:30. It was me, Katie, and you. And we were like, it's our first day. We're in Disney. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep moving.
Let's get the most out of the day as we can.
Let's just wait in line, see what happens. I think it was an hour later we were walking off the attraction.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like even the cast members, when it gets that late, they're like, oh, let's hurry up and move it because then I get off sooner.
Right.
So, they're at their most productive, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how about your two from Tier 2?
I would probably have to say the Safaris and probably Dinosaur. Expedition Everest is a good ride, but I don't mind waiting for that ride. Especially because like normally a lot of people don't like that because it is a pretty intense coaster. So that's why I don't mind riding it, because I would still like to do something with like everybody else.
Yeah. My two would be, of course, Dinosaur. And I, again, if I had to say, I want to say the Safari, off the top. If I had to pick another one, I don't know what it would be. It would probably be Everest.
Yeah, it would probably be Everest if I didn't pick another one. Or Primeval Whirl.
That's been closed since for forever.
Well, it's going into, what is it? Temporary use.
Seasonal.
Seasonal.
Is the word.
I don't know why I couldn't
seasonal
think of
is the
seasonal.
word.
Temporary use only on certain holidays and special events.
Seasonal. Definition of seasonal.
Yeah.
Moving to Hollywood Studios.
I'm going to backtrack for a second.
Sorry.
Do you agree with this tier system that tier 1 should just have the 2 and tier 2 is everything else? Or would you kind of change some stuff? You don't have to give me specifics, but just like general, because there's a lot to talk about.
It seems like Disney uses a theme for tier 1 and, same like Hollywood Studios. But when an attraction first opens, it seems like, and it's got a lot of popular, upswing and in-demand attraction, it usually always falls into the tier 1 category, even though like for Hollywood Studios it might not necessarily need to be in tier 1. But again, these are the two kind of hottest attractions in Animal Kingdom right now. So I mean, like in the future, yeah, I could see definitely Navi River Journey falling into tier 2, I would hope. But I feel like it's going to probably stay this way until a new attraction or maybe Avatar expands or something like that. I could see this tier sticking around for a while. Okay. How it is.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I really don't like that there's only 2 things in tier 1. At that point, I would just say, just make it kind of like Magic Kingdom and just go no tiers. But I understand that everybody would then do Passage and Journey, and that would just make Avatar Land very crowded. I get it.
But at least, again, for Animal Kingdom, there's a lot of stuff in tier 2 versus when you get to Epcot, after you've already done your 2 and you're looking to pick your 4th FastPass. I mean, yes, you can pick another. Your 4th FastPass can be from tier 1, but usually by the time maybe you get around to it, it's
probably gone.
It's Soarin' or one of the other attractions, but it's like
Test Track
late at night at like 7, and you're like, no, I want to go. I want to be in the countries at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Hollywood Studios for their tier 1: Alien Swirling Saucers, Slinky Dog Dash, Toy Story Mania, Rockin' Roller Coaster, and Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. That's a pretty heavily loaded tier 1.
Yeah, and then in tier 2 is just kind of all of the shows except Star Tours. Star Tours is the only non-show in tier 2.
Yeah, which is, again, just to say that, of course, we say not to pick any shows in any of the parks except for Hollywood Studios because that's all they have in their tier 2.
Because if you can't do Star Tours, which, a lot of people can't, very intense motion simulator, then you kind of, your hands are, handcuffed and you have to pick a show. Yeah.
What would you say for your tier 1 choice? Hard choice.
I'd probably either go Rockin' Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror. If I had 2 days, I'm definitely going to go Slinky Dog Dash just because, again, I've never done it. We're going to do it in January. Or even like Toy Story Mania. They're all good picks. It really just depends on...
It's hard.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the group that I'm with. Because if, I'm with a big group that loves to do scary stuff or like do roller coasters, then I'm going, Rockin' Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror. Or, like in January with the big family, I'm probably going to go Toy Story Mania and Slinky Dog Dash. So it just really just depends on the group. What about you?
Yeah, it's hard. Right off the bat, I'd say Toy Story Mania. I like the game, kind of aspect part of it. I like the ride aspect part of it. All around, still great attraction, despite the 2 newer attractions in Toy Story Land. That would definitely be my option. What would be your choice for your tier 2?
Do I have to pick 2?
I know. Again, normally we don't. I mean, really, honestly, for like Muppet Vision 3D, again, it all of these shows just take so many people in that you necessarily don't need a FastPass.
I mean, I'm probably going Star Tours. I like that attraction. Plus, with new Star Wars Land opening, Hollywood Studios is going to change with Star Wars Land opening once they implement
FastPasses for both attractions.
Right. So, I think the tiers will definitely change. But, I'm going to go Star Tours just because it's a good ride and I like that. Other than that, though, I'm not going to do Fantasmic because I don't want to do a fireworks show because I want to get the most out of my day, like we've kind of talked about. Beauty and the Beast is a big show. I'm not going to get a FastPass for Frozen sing-along. I'd probably either go Voyage of the Little Mermaid or Indiana Jones.
You wouldn't do Disney Junior live on stage?
I would not do Disney Junior live on stage.
It's on the list.
It's a question.
I need to ask the question. For me, for my tier 2, I'd probably do Star Tours. And then secondly, again, if I had to pick one, it'd be Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular. Which, to note for Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, Fantasmic, and Beauty and the Beast, your FastPass, different than Muppet Vision 3D that just gets you into kind of the main queue pre-show area faster is you get priority seating. So it's a little bit different kind of to think about it. Not that you just get to the attraction sooner, and
Right.
butt in front of everybody else. You actually do get kind of a benefit out of it. So, if you would like to pick a show, definitely suggest, one of those three because it's more of a priority seating.
Right. You feel like you're getting more out of it.
Exactly. Rather than just, I'm now in a pre-show room with everybody else and I'm pretty sure me and that guy walked in at the same exact time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. I completely agree. All right, let's move on to the last one, Magic Kingdom. And this is choose any three for pretty much all of their attractions. We're not going to list any of them because it's a lot to read.
Yeah, I mean, it's any attraction that you can think of, even meet and greets in
there
Magic Kingdom.
There are 5 meet and greets that have a Magic Kingdom. So, I mean, there are 5 meet and greets that have a FastPass in Magic Kingdom. Words are hard. So, Ryan, I guess what would be your 3?
Off the bat, definitely Peter Pan. That is a very hot attraction to make a fast pass for. Hard to get sometimes. So Peter Pan would definitely be one. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Not that necessarily that one's hard to get, but kind of closer to it if, you're fumbling around and need to pick fast passes. That one's pretty much gone. And again, I'd have to say Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Again, even though Magic Kingdom doesn't have tiers, there are still attractions that are hot ticket, fast passes that, come your 60-day, they might not be there.
So you're saying that you're not doing Magic Carpets of Aladdin?
No and never.
For me, I would probably go Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Big Thunder Mountain, like you said, and then Space Mountain. Space Mountain can get a really long wait. And that's not an attraction that is like, if you go at 8:55, it's a shorter wait. No, this is normally a long attraction, but you have to think it only six people per ride. It's gonna be a long wait. So, I like going FastPass on this because even with FastPass, it makes it like a 10 minute wait. So that's why I would go FastPass. I know Peter Pan's flight is, an hour wait all the time. Like the park opens at 9:05, it's an hour wait. And it stays an hour wait till the park closes. I don't understand how it's possible because it is an Omnimover.
Yeah, it's great. It's a very, very popular attraction. If I had to just name a few that I wouldn't get fast passes for, it's a Small World because usually if that's a 30-minute wait, the entire park is busy.
Yeah.
That's a 4th of July if Small World is, above a 30-minute wait.
Agreed.
Other ones, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, even though I will admit I have gotten fast passes for this before, but it hasn't been my first 3.
Right. This is like if you get 1 day in Magic Kingdom. Now, if you go for 14 days, yeah, you're probably not going to want to pick Space Mountain 14 times if you go to Magic Kingdom every day. You're going to want to change it up, so... Yes.
Some other ones, Mickey's Feel Her Magic, no and never would need a fast pass.
Yeah, Goofy's Barnstormer for me.
Yeah, no, don't need one for that. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, again, it's a show, so don't need a fast pass for that.
Big theater.
And the last one that comes to mind is Under the Sea Journey of the Little Mermaid. Again, in the morning, some of these attractions can look busy and overwhelming, but once that kind of morning crowd kind of disperses.
Right. When it gets to the afternoon, when people are eating lunch, the breakdown hour.
Right. Anytime I've gotten on Journey of the Little Mermaid, it's been a walk-on or I've waited 5 minutes, and that might be an exaggeration.
Yeah. So I guess since there is no tier system, do you think that this affects Magic Kingdom? Are you happy that there's no tier system?
Again, I think in my mind it makes it more unstructured because the other parks have tiers. So when I come to pick fast passes for Magic Kingdom, I panic and I don't know what to pick because I want to do all of the attractions.
Right.
Because, and again, all of them are iconic and I want to do them all. But then to the benefit of not having tiers, I can pick whatever 3 attractions I want if they're available and do them.
Right, but it's overwhelming. It's like asking mom, which son is her favorite son because
it'd be me. Okay. I'm gonna write that down. We're gonna have to ask her together.
But it makes it hard because you want to do everything, but at the same time you can do anything. You have kind of open range. I think they could kind of split it up almost like you were saying earlier with like Tokyo, and like have like one tier be, all the meet and greets. One tier be like the mountain tier, so you can only pick one of these. I don't know. I think it might give it more structure and may help people be less stressful. But at the same time, if you put all the big attractions in one tier and you can only pick one of them, that may make you more stressful because now you want to do everything that's in tier 1, but you can only pick one.
I think for me, I think it would be $1 million idea for Disney if they did kind of these themed FastPass, kind of packs that you would buy in the My Disney Experience app. Let's say, for example, you go to book your fast passes and most likely Seven Doors Mine Train will be gone. So maybe you book a Fantasyland kind of fast pass pack that includes Seven Doors Mine Train, maybe that Journey into the Little Mermaid and, I don't know, Peter Pan. I'm just naming 3 attractions that, that are in Fantasyland. But, if that's a pack that you can add maybe, for $5 and you get 3 fast passes for that, for me, I think I would definitely buy that. Or even if it was a mountain pack and it include, just Splash, Space, and Big Thunder Mountain, I would most certainly buy that, if it was, $10, per person. I think that's $1 million idea for Disney.
Well said. Well said. Well, do you have anything else to talk about FastPass? Any other last thoughts?
No, I know we covered a lot. If we missed anything and you still have questions, please feel free to reach out to us, on Facebook or anything like that. More than happy to help and direct. And of course, yours truly is a travel agent. So again, even more, I'm more than willing to help.
Yeah. This is our first MousekaBasics episode. Where we talked about FastPasses. If there's something else that you want us to cover, please post it on Facebook, message us or something, email us. We'd be happy to talk about this stuff. We never want to take for granted, the knowledge that we know and just assume that everybody else knows, everything. Because, even doing some research, we don't know everything. So this is, fun for us. We don't mind
it's a good refresher.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a review as it helps us improve the show. And as always, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
On today's episode, we are talking about FastPass Plus.
I don't know where I was going to go next. I completely blanked.
Oh my God, we're doing so good. I saw you laugh. Come on.
I couldn't do it.